We're in a transition in terms of life, going from being an employee for however long it's been, 15 years, and wanting to move into creativepreneurship. And so what I love about what my coach said, they said that life is like you're a DJ, right? And we're currently in the transition, and they would describe it like, oh, you're in the ricka ricka part, and when you think about that ricka ricka part, you're doing all this scratching and breaking and transitioning and trying to blend things together, and sometimes it's not going to be perfect, but it is what makes a good DJ. We're not gonna discount that. I got in a whole tangent about DJs yesterday as we went to go play flag football, and I got this beautiful bruise right here. Oh man, on the first play. This is why I play basketball. Come on now. It was actually the first time I've ever played football ever. I don't know why it's never happened in the past, but probably this is a reason why. Anyways, so we are DJs in our life, and for some of us, we're in the transition part of it, right? And I don't know about you, but that's my favorite part of the song. And so in this transition, of course, I'm at a place where I'm not getting money from an employer. As you saw in my last video, I'm selling my stuff and, having to make things work. And we're still here, realizing how much we don't really need to get by in this life, and that we probably have overcomplicated this whole process. But I wanted to share this because this was actually a yesterday's thought. And I was like, if I don't share this now, who knows? It's going to go fleeting into the other many thoughts I'm going to have. And so what I really appreciate about this quote that my coach shared, it says, separate your net worth from your self-worth. Let me say that again. Separate your net worth from your self-worth. And so I'm going to be real with y'all. Of course, every day I'm thinking about how can I make money? You know what I mean? And I think that's just a very old programming that has been implored in us within the educational system. And I'm in the process of not thinking about the how, right? But more so thinking about the why. And so even I'm at this place where I'm not having a consistent income, I've had to ask myself, do I still feel worthy? Do I still feel enough? And I'm so grateful for the time and work that I've done in the past, whatever it has added up to now, because I don't feel a full-blown attachment to the money I make or don't make or am not making, and I'm kind of surprised by that, because of course, when you come from immigrant parents, they're probably thinking of it otherwise, thinking man, how have I failed as a parent if my kid doesn't even have a job right now, but I don't feel bad about myself. I just don't feel some types of way. I'm still processing. That's why I'm just I don't know how to explain it, but I feel if some people were in a similar transition as I'm at right now, where you're just man, I ain't making no money, and can feel honestly can just feel like poop, can feel like they're not worthy, can feel like they're not enough. But I'm surprised and grateful that those are not the feelings I feel. If anything, I'm asking myself and challenging myself, how do I want to receive money? How do I want that energy exchange? I'm allowing my brain to be creative, because my brain, daily, oftentimes it's switching between survival and creativity, and realizing that when it comes to being creative, we're able to be creative if we're out of survival mode. When we think about money, we have to remember that it has two functions. One, obviously for freedom, and two, so it creates enough comfortability for us, more than enough comfortability for us to be creative. So I'm in this tension where I'm grateful where I have, my basic needs met, but it's the tension of the old programming of oh, I need to go make money, I need to go get money. But I'm in this reprogramming of I don't need to go get anything. It's already available to me. I just need to meet it where it's at. And so I'm having to retrain myself into being consciously thoughtful of every thought that I have, and making sure I'm disrupting old patterns. And if you're really a DJ, you don't ever want to scratch your vinyl, but in my head, I'm scratching my vinyl right now. I'm breaking the pattern. And again, you're DJing and you go over that scratch, it doesn't sound good, but we have to realize what are the programmings in music and the continuous circle and cycles of beliefs and identities and thoughts that we have, that we do need to break the pattern, and we do need to break the cycle in our brains. And so I'm having to switch off between survival and creativity. And so I just feel like I'm in a place right now where I'm getting the chance to be creative, but it's holding that tension of survival and just being like, okay, how do I want to meet that energy exchange? Like, what is the thing that makes me come most alive? And so we did our live coaching session for number 3. And so a quote that they shared, it says, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. And then go and do that. Because what the world needs is people who come alive. And that's a quote by Howard Thurman. So my coach asked us, like, what's the... what did they ask you? Like, what are you doing that makes you feel alive? What are you doing that makes you feel aligned? And so in that moment, I had to ask myself, like, where are the places and spaces where I felt the most alive? And literally the only thing I wrote down was workshops. That's it. Because for me, it's a perfect blend of like not having to teach a whole curriculum for a semester, for a school year, or even as a substitute teacher, like I've been many times before, like teaching off of that. I get to just be there for 2 hours, half a day, whatever the case. And like, I get to make my imprint, my mark. I get to just be a signpost to be like, hey, like, this is what speaks true to me. I hope this helps you in your journey. And like, we get to move on from there, like getting to be really potent and impactful in a short amount of time really excites me. And it's like, again, it's like this blend of teaching, but also being conversational. You're with them just long enough that it's not a speech, but it's also not just teaching. And so that really excites me thinking about that. And I think about it too, as I'm in Toastmasters. This past week, I had the chance to be Table Topics Master, and I felt like that was in my zone of genius. It was just basically asking questions and facilitating and opening up that space for people to think about things more deeply and have a different perspective. And so that's why I really enjoy podcasting, right? Actually, last night we had the chance to go to a comedy show, and it was really interesting to see them do their podcast live. And I was like, okay, like, I give you props, because to see what it looks like further into the craft, I was like, I appreciate that, but what I really love is that during this time, during this sabbatical, like, I'm shedding all of the things, or as many of the things that needs to be shed during this season of what just didn't work for me, and I'm getting to truly ask myself, like, we recognize we're in a capitalistic society, you got to make money to live, all these things, but I'm getting the chance to sit here and be like, how do I want to be creative and receive that energy exchange? So, and also again, like, just feeling so grateful that I don't have that attachment to money, that it's attached to my identity and my worthiness. And I still, if anything, I feel even more worthy. I even feel more than enough, because now I get to be creative in a way, be like, whatever I'm creating, which is the Death to Distraction workshop, like, I get to bring my full self to that. I don't have to comply to any employee regulations and policies and things of that sort. I get, if they don't, for instance, I was watching a Brene Brown video, or audio the other day, and she was saying like that she was going into these companies and they said, don't curse and don't talk about religion. And then she's like, then I'm not your person. Like, if I don't get to curse and I don't get to talk about religion and their belief in God, then don't hire me. And I'm like, man, talk about that kind of freedom, knowing that one, you could walk into a place, you could propose into a place, and if it's a good fit, great, you can move forward. But two, if it's not, I don't have to. And like, that feels so good, getting to interact and be in a space where you're fully accepted, and get to be your full self, like that. That's all I think any of us want, and I think even for myself, I could think back when I was thinking about choosing my major. I'm just like, what is the thing where what is the career path where I can be my most self? And I'm just so grateful. A decade later, it's just like, like things are coming together, and I'm just feeling so grateful, even despite the transition, the ricka, season that I'm in right now. And so I think also the beautiful thing that I learned in this last coaching session too was like realizing, and like what I said in my last video, I'm in a state of selling my stuff, realizing that, like, knowing like what's enough for me, right? Like, how many times there's people out there where it'll never be enough it'll never be enough for them, you know? And so thinking about like every time they go into an opportunity, like whatever, they always want more, they always want more, they always want more. So to get to a place where like it is like bare bones basics of what I personally like, what are my motivations, like it feels so good knowing I can walk into a place and just like obviously be grateful. Big thing I need to work on is like making sure not to like undersell myself, which I think a lot of people do that when they get into entrepreneurship and starting to sell their stuff. But also at the same time, like knowing like they're like that there is an enoughness, you know what I mean, where you're like, you don't have to keep asking for more than what you actually need, and that you'll actually get to do the work where you feel like fulfilled. And so I'm just really excited about like all the things that are like coming and revealing itself. And I just wanted to share this part with all of you because I was like, I'm gonna forget this was a yesterday thought, and I was like, I gotta bring it into today. And just realizing like, yeah, I'm gonna bring back this quote. It says, separate your net worth from your self-worth. So ask yourself, like, is the money you make an attachment to your self-worth? You know, whether you're making a lot of money or a little bit of money, is it attached to your self-worth? And the last thing I just want to reiterate is this one quote, because I think for me, this is a big part of why I'm creating Death to Distraction, is because I remember recently I had the chance to talk to some students at USC, and don't tell them this, but I literally, okay, I wanted to like hit them in the back to be like, are y'all even in there right now? Because the reality is, like, we could be in these bodies, but like, you're not really in there. Like, I just feel like we're walking around like Frankensteins, y'all. Like, I get it. I know it's October and I know Halloween's right around the corner, but like, we're not like Frankensteins, you know? And like, kind of have to, okay, we have to remember that Frankenstein was actually the doctor, and then, okay, but beyond that, like, you know what I'm trying to say? And so sometimes I want to like slap people in the back and be like, yo, like, are you in there, or are you like not even here right now? And so again, I'm going to wrap this up. This is the quote I want you to think about today. 1, separate your net worth from your self-worth. And 2, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go and do that. Because what the world needs is people who come alive. Y'all, I don't know. I feel like some of us are just walking around like already dead inside, and we're so young still. Like, whoever's watching, like, I already know how young we are. I don't know. Mom, are you watching this? I don't know. But like, people can die at 25. You know, people can die at 35. People can die at 50. You know, but then there's people in 70-year-old bodies, 80-year-old bodies, more alive than people at 25, at 15, at 7. Like, we're this device, man. This device. Anyways, I appreciate y'all for watching. Get off this thing. Go live your life. Go do the things that make you feel alive. All right. I love y'all, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye now.